Making photos for our lookbook. First thing you need to do is find out the size of all your frames. So for instance, this one, if I click on it, over here on the right is the properties panel. If it is, in the first part where it says frame, transform, this is width and height over here on the right. So I would go through the whole document and write down all the sizes that you need. So that you know how big your photo should be, or if you're going to crop it, how big you want to crop it. I suggest you crop it a little bit bigger than what you want. And ideally these would be raw photos that you're going to use, but what's happened is that because we don't have time to do our photographs for the lookbook, we're just using images from the internet, and they're not particularly good resolution. So I'll just show you file open. I want to use this girl for my cover. So that image was 169 by 188. So if I go up to image size, check that I'm on millimetres, so make them the same so you can check. What's happened here is that the width is, it's not as big as I would like, and it's only 72 dpi, which is very low resolution. So this image is not very good quality for what I want, but I'm going to use it anyway. So if I've only got 120 and I need 170, then I'm going to make sure the lock's on, and that will scale proportionately. I'm just going to make that 240. And the image is still only 1.32 meg, which is fine. So I'll just go OK. So she's a bit bigger. She's not fabulous resolution. She's getting all blurry. See what I mean? Not a good image. Anyway, it's just so that I know when I do my photographs that I want someone in this pose. So I'm going to use the crop tool, because the other thing is I want to make it a little bit higher. You can test all your photos by popping them in the InDesign document and seeing where you need to either extend them or shrink them or things like that. The crop tool over here, or press C, just works by pushing and pulling the edges. Tick OK for the area that you want. Now that's white. I don't want it to be white, so what I'm going to do is copy the area below it. It's just a flat colour, so it doesn't matter. I'm going to hold down, I've used my tool to marquee the area I want. I'm going to hold down, use my move tool, which is the top tool, or you can press V on the keypad and hold down Option on a Mac or Alt on a Windows. I haven't quite got enough there. I can go Command T and just stretch it out a little. There we go. So I've extended the top of the page, Command D to deselect. If you have any residue line, depending on the pixels that you've used, so if it's not a flat colour, you might have a line. The J tool is very good for sort of blending pixels nearby. You can change the tip size of any tool by pressing the square brackets. The right bracket makes it bigger, the bracket next to P makes it smaller. The other thing I noticed with her was her head is slightly too long for my liking. I'm just going to do a bit of quick surgery on her. Command T, and I'm going to hold down Shift because I don't want to scale it proportionately. Just want to squish her head down a little, and I'm happy with that. And then Command D to deselect. I've got this little bit left over, so marquee it and move it to an area similar. Click on the Move tool, which is V, hold down Option on a Mac, Alt on Windows, and drag it to cover. Command D to deselect. So she's ready to go. It's a good idea to save your files as a TIFF. So this could be, so go Save As. If it's an original photo, then that's probably a different file format. It's probably even Photoshop. Photoshop's a huge file. It's not recommended. Well, you just shouldn't use it in, that's your original file. So you always keep that file. For us, we're going to save as TIFF. It prints better than JPEG. And we're going to give it another name so that it doesn't overwrite the first file. So just agree, okay, okay. So that's saved. I'll show you another technique. File, open this one. So I found when I placed this image that she wasn't quite wide enough, and she's 72 dpi, but she's 372. So considering I want her at 390 cubic smoother enlargement, so that's making it a bit bigger. And the other thing I wanted was to make it a bit wider. So just going to pull that out like that. So it's about that much wider I needed. So this is just visual. You just look at things and go, well, I needed it wider. I'm going to select that area. I'm going to use Content Aware, which is like the magic tool. It just fills it with pixels that are similar. So if you select a little bit of the image next to it, it sort of has something to read. Then you go up to Edit, Content Aware Fill, or if you're in Fill, you can choose Content Aware. And normally it'll do a pretty good job of fixing it. Command D to deselect. That looks good. And I've just noticed down in the bottom corner I've got a WGSN logo. I want to get rid of that, so again I'll use Content Aware. I'll just select Nearby, click OK. So Command D, deselect, Command 0. So she's ready to go. File, Save As. Always save as another name, just in case. Address and TIFF. Save. Okay. Okay. Got a background copy. I'll open. So this image, I want to crop parts out of it. So sort of area here. So it's going to look something like that. You can move your marquee around. So this was the marquee tool, M for marquee. So I'll crop more than I need and then I can fit it to the window. So you select what you want. You could go Command C, crop, but I'm going to copy it, Command C to copy, and go File, New, and magically it knows what you're doing. So just click Create and then Command V, paste. And so what we'll find is that in our layers, that we've got two layers. Double click on the white layer and just drag it to the bin. We don't need that. That'll make any other layer with white in it, will make the file bigger. And one of our main objectives is to try and make files as small as possible. File, Save As. Folders 1, TIFF, save. Okay. Okay. Now I'm going back to that photo because I want to crop another bit out of it, and this time I just want part of her head, so something like that. So I'm just going to select that area, image crop, file, save as, onto your computer, head, TIFF. Alright, so there's only one layer this time, doesn't matter that it's locked. Okay, so that's done. So I've shown you how to add an extra area to your background, how to crop a image apart and save it as different names. But for instance, this one I only want probably that area maximum. Image crop, file, save as. I'll show you how to change the colour of something. So something like this, I couldn't quite get the colour of the jacket that I wanted. So what I'm going to do is select it all. So it's marquee tool. And in our layers panel where the adjustments are, this is where you've got all sorts of things like exposure, vibrance, livens up the colours. Hue saturation changes the colour or livens up the colour or turns it into black and white. Colour balance can change colours, black and white. Photo filter has, can make something warmer, or in this case, if I put blue over it, cooler. So I think that will suit my layout a bit better. I'm still not that happy about that jacket being so blue. So I'm just going to bring it up. Again, you can see how bad the resolution is. What I'm doing is selecting around the areas of blue. This is with the polygonal lasso. It's not the professional tool. You should be using the pen tool at a professional level. So this is sort of quick and dirty, the polygonal lasso. In my hue saturation, I can lower the saturation so that it's, I can go to black and white if I want, but just so it's not so intensely blue. It's not the colour I want. The other thing, if I wanted, I could change the colour of it by using the hue slide. I'm going to go back to 0. I'll show you how to use the pen tool. So this is the professional tool. You click like you do in Illustrator, hold and curve, hold down Option or Alt, click over the last point, click to the end point, click back up. So remember, you can always make a curve after a straight line, but not a straight line after a curve. Click on Option again, click, click, click down to there, click over to here. Really, it's just much better at making a curve than the polygonal lasso could. The polygonal lasso will only make curves using small straight increments. So whereas the pen tool, you can just click and drag. So nothing happens until you come up to your control bar and click on selection. We're not going to feather it, but if you're making a mood board, you would, so that it's not that obvious that something's been placed. And what happens is, even though we selected that area, it's selected everything but that area. So we have to come up to select, inverse, and now it's just selecting that area. So again, we can apply, we have to, so once you've used that once, it's a good idea to put a mask on it and then use your hue saturation and match it. So the mask will only affect that area that you've selected. So that's just by clicking on this icon here next to the adjustments icon. Just click, once you've selected it, click on the mask and then you can change the colour of it in there. So once you've done all that and you think it's right, you can never really tell, but anyway, click on the list in the layers and choose flatten image. And that means that all these effects that you've applied are now all on that layer. You can also, PNG is a bit like a TIFF. PNGs are generally used for animation. So TIFF is good for just a photograph. It's a smaller file. Okay. Open. This one also. What's going to happen with this one is that I want to use one who's standing at the side, so I'm just going to cut that out. Command copy. Then I'm going to crop it. Oh. So I want it about there. I want to crop about that much off. Okay, and paste, and then I can use my move tool to drag that over to here. So I was hoping it'd work, but see how there's quite a strong difference between the light and the dark. That's now on a layer. The layers are under window, so they keep disappearing on you. I'm just going to throw that in the bin. I'm going to unlock. Whenever it's got the lock on it, you have to just double click on it and that will unlock the layer. So for this, I'm just going to select that area, edit, fill, content aware. There we go. So that's probably the easiest way to fill an area with colour. So you should have a lot of type over here. File, save as. Open your computer. Alright, so when they're all saved, you're ready to go and pop them into your InDesign document. I'll go through the tools just so you know what there is. There's the Move tool, which is V. Remember, they always, when you hover, they tell you what the keypad shortcut is. There's the Marquee tool, which we use a lot. The polygonal lasso. There's also just the lasso tool, which is a freeform. Just sort of select like that. Command D to deselect. There's the magic wand. I find this is more successful if you want to cut something out. There's also the object selection tool, which is new, and it's good if it's got a nice solid silhouette to work out. Just say you use something like that and it doesn't quite select everything, you can grab the polygonal lasso and it's either Shift or Option or Shift or Alt, and you can see Shift, I get a plus sign, which means this will add to the selection. So I can just go and double click. No, that didn't work. Okay, maybe it's minus. Doesn't make sense, but you never know. Okay, so minus added to the selection. I have to go select inverse, and so that will select all the background, not the image. Delete, and the checkerboard tells you that there's nothing in the background. You would save it as a TIFF, and therefore you could just bring in this. Well, if you just didn't want any background, you'd crop it. So you would then grab your crop tool and scale this image down as close as you could to the edges and save her like that. Click on, press return, file, save as. Page 2, no background. If you want to get rid of, say, once you've gotten rid of part of the background, then you can just select another area and press delete. So once you've gotten rid of the most of it, you shouldn't have any trouble with the rest. Probably will notice that you know, parts of her are missing, like her ear, you could, you know, rather than go back and do that whole process again, you can do things like, you know, select an area. Actually, you probably do a better job of it than that. Select an area that you could find some similar pixels, similar colour. Probably go darker rather than lighter. Move that back there, just so she's Command D, got an ear. And then you could use your J, so you just press J tool, reduce the size, and just sort of blend it a little bit, so it's not so obvious that you copied it. Same on this side, we've got this little gap here. You try to catch that highlight area as well. Hold down Option or Alt, so move tool, Option or Alt, and drag that down to there. Command D, J, just to smooth it out a little. And you can always, if you get something a bit extra, just delete it. Okay, so that's that idea. So you do want all the name and everything, but if we just select all, Command A or Control A, image size, they're quite big. They're 194 millimetres, so 20 centimetres high, which is quite a lot. We probably only need them about 3 centimetres, so if you've got 72 DPI resolution and you want 300, 3 threes are 9, so if we make it 90 millimetres high, that's fine. That's a great size. So Command Save, OK, File Open. So you just go through, make one, and then you just go through all your colour chips and make them all the same size. Command A, image size, 90. Okay, Command S. Okay. Going to show you some other tools. File, Open. So something like this, image size, and 41, 72 dpi, it's only 500. Basically around 1 meg is fine, so we've got another 500 kilobytes to make 1 meg. Use, up here on the control bar has different settings, so you know, tip size, you can change the size of your tip, you can make it fuzzy, all those sorts of things. So, you know, background's locked, unlock the background. So, oh, there we go. So I don't want to do that, Command Z. But anyway, that's your eraser. In the erasers you have the background eraser, so it rubs out something. I wouldn't recommend it for going around things. It's very hard to get a good edge. So your magic eraser, which generally will erase areas of similar colour pixels. You can always hold down Shift if it's not selecting as many as you'd like. You have Magic Wand, Crop Tool. The Eyedropper tool is the same as in Illustrator. It copies the colour and puts it at the front in the colours. The Pencil tool, never use it. Clone Stamp copies an area and then moves it to a place nearby. So often hovering over a tool, they'll show you how it works. This one, so that's getting rid of the background. That's a new tool, I think. Oh yeah, there you go. Erasers. Paint Bucket. Paint Bucket will drop into a selected, you know, similar pixel area, the colour that's at the front here. Blur tool, if you want to blur your edges, is normally what that's good for. Smudge tool, pretty much the same thing, but you know, normally that's a toy that you use at school to make people look silly. Sponge tool, colour saturation of areas in an image. I never use it, but maybe I should. Okay, so that's taking the saturation out. So it's sort of making it grey. It's probably not what we want. Okay. Type tool, pen tool, path selection tool. Okay, so that's probably in your pen tools. You've got a whole bunch of tools: freeform pen, curvature, plus, minus, convert. So again, like Illustrator, if you want to change a path that you might have drawn with your pen tool, or you have this tool, which is the path selection tool or direct selection tool. Works the same way as Illustrator. Got all our shape tools down here, spacebar or the hand to move around the page, zoom, click and drag. And then at the bottom here there's a 3-dot edit toolbar, and so in here's all the tools that are hidden. So you may have liked tools in the past and now they're not showing. My favourites were the dodge and burn tool. So something like the burn tool makes things darker. So if you need to darken an area, you can just your mouse button and then you go over it again. It gets darker and darker. The only way you can correct that is to go to your history panel and, you know, drag those burn tools to the bin. Okay. Colour boxes work as usual, and yeah, other than that there's effects in, so you have to select something, Command A, unlock. So in here we've got effects is where you've got bevel and emboss, so you can add, you know, different things to your photographs. Bevel and emboss is like a light dark thing, can work quite well. Anyway, they're all good fun to play with. There's nothing I'd particularly suggest. Inner shadow and outer glow can be quite good if you've got a silhouetted image. Outer glow down the bottom here. Sometimes I put white, so let's just, we haven't got it, but you know, if she was cut out, you could put an outer glow on her. It's not going to work because we've only got a square background. Anyway, it just you can make it really sharp, like a white line around an object. So it's good for mood boards and things like that. So everything you need is really under window. We really only need our layers most of the time. We have filters, so there's the filter gallery, which can be fun. I'll quickly show you that. So you can do all sorts of tricky things. Poster edges is a good one. So sketch. A lot of them turn the image black and white. You know, most of them are utterly useless, but photocopy can give you a really great sort of graphic style. So that's in Sketch photocopy. Yeah, so all sorts of things. Photoshop is fun, just as long as you know where everything is. Well, good luck with your mood boards, and remember to look at the notes because there's lots of things in there about how to use tools with images. All right then, bye-bye.